In my last video, I broke down how one moment with Jay-Z changed the entire.
From a quiet girl in Houston, Texas, to the dazzling stage lights of the world, Beyoncé Giselle Knowles has become a name that echoes across continents. She is not just a singer, but a force of nature, a dancer, actress, businesswoman, and cultural icon whose very presence commands attention. Yet behind the flawless choreography, the record-breaking tours, and the 32 Grammy Awards lies a journey filled with struggles, controversies, and personal battles. How did a young girl once bullied for her shyness rise to dominate the global stage? How did she turn whispers of scandal into anthems of empowerment and private heartbreak into art that moved millions? This is not just the story of fame. This is the untold saga of Beyoncé. The rise, the scandals, the reinvention, and the legacy of Queen Bey. Beyoncé Giselle Knowles was born on September 4, 1981 in Houston, Texas, into a family where discipline and creativity lived side by side. Her father, Matthew Knowles, a sales manager with relentless drive, would later become her manager and architect of her career. Her mother, Tina Knowles, a fashion designer and salon owner, nurtured her daughter's sense of style and stage presence. But young Beyoncé's early years were not the glamorous beginnings one might imagine. As a child, she was shy, reserved, and often the target of teasing at school. She was bullied for her appearance, especially her ears, and struggled with self-confidence. It was in the church choir that she found her sanctuary. When her vocal teacher encouraged her to sing a solo at just 7 years old, the congregation was stunned. A powerful, soulful voice poured out of the quiet girl, transforming her life forever. From that moment, her parents dedicated themselves to her future. Tina designed dazzling costumes for talent shows, while Matthew enforced a strict rehearsal schedule, pushing Beyoncé to rehearse tirelessly. Childhood playtime was replaced with hours of singing and dance practice. Friends recalled that the Knowles household felt like a training ground rather than a playground. Though it came with sacrifices, those formative years forged Beyoncé's discipline, resilience, and relentless pursuit of perfection, the very qualities that would later define her as Queen Bey. Beyoncé's first steps toward stardom came in the early 1990s, when she joined a local girl group called Girls' Time. The group, made up of young Houston girls, was ambitious but unpolished. In 1993, they competed on Star Search, the biggest talent competition on American television. They lost badly. For the young Beyoncé, it was a devastating public defeat, her first taste of the harsh reality of show business. But where others might have quit, Beyoncé grew stronger. Her father, Matthew Knowles, believed fiercely in her talent. He left his stable corporate job to manage the group full-time, a decision that brought financial strain on the family, but also laser focus on Beyoncé's future. After years of relentless rehearsal, lineup changes, and countless rejections, the group transformed into Destiny's Child. In 1997, Destiny's Child signed with Columbia Records, and soon the world began to notice. Their breakthrough single, No, 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 introduced Beyoncé's commanding voice. But it was the 1999 album, The Writings on the Wall, that made history. With chart-topping hits like Bills, 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 and Say My Name, the group became one of the best-selling girl groups of all time. Even in a 4-member group, Beyoncé's presence was undeniable. Her stage charisma, precise vocals, and ability to command the spotlight made her stand out. Whispers grew louder. She wasn't just a member of Destiny's Child, she was destined for something bigger. By the early 2000s, as Destiny's Child dominated global charts, Beyoncé was already preparing for the leap that would make her a solo icon. In 2003, Beyoncé took the leap the world had been anticipating. Her debut solo album, Dangerously in Love, was nothing short of explosive. Fueled by the infectious energy of Crazy in Love, a collaboration with Jay-Z, the album catapulted her into superstardom, earning 5 Grammy Awards and proving she could shine on her own. What followed was a career defined by reinvention and dominance. With B-Day 2006, Beyoncé showed a fiercer, more experimental side, delivering hits like Irreplaceable. In 2008, Sasha Fierce introduced the world to her alter ego, producing anthems such as Single Ladies, Put a Ring on It, which sparked one of the biggest dance crazes of all time. Her artistry only deepened with 2011, an album that showcased vocal power and maturity. But it was her 2013 self-titled visual album, released without warning, that shocked the music industry. Combining music with striking visuals, it set a new standard for how albums could be experienced. Then came Lemonade in 2016, a cultural earthquake. Blending music, poetry, and cinema, Beyoncé bared her soul, confronting themes of betrayal, race, and empowerment. It was more than an album. It was a manifesto that placed her at the center of global cultural conversations. Her live performances became equally legendary. In 2013, her Super Bowl halftime show electrified millions. In 2018, her Coachella performance, dubbed Beychella, cemented her as one of the greatest performers of all time, fusing African-American heritage with jaw-dropping stagecraft. Awards and accolades poured in. By 2023, Beyoncé had won 32 Grammy Awards, the most in history. Tours grossed hundreds of millions, and alongside Jay-Z, she became one half of music's most powerful couple. At her peak, Beyoncé was not just a singer. She was a cultural force. A woman who defined excellence, discipline, and vision in an industry that rarely allows women that kind of control. For all her dazzling success, Beyoncé's rise was never free of shadows. Fame brought not only glory, but also relentless scrutiny and scandal. The earliest controversies surrounded Destiny's Child. As the group reshuffled members, critics accused Beyoncé's father, Matthew Knowles, of favoritism and ruthless control. Former members spoke of unfair treatment, fueling whispers that the group was less a sisterhood and more a carefully managed vehicle for Beyoncé's ascent. While Destiny's Child soared to global fame, the criticisms left lasting scars on Beyoncé's image. Then came the scandal that shook the internet. The infamous elevator incident in 2014. Security footage showed Beyoncé's sister, Solange, physically attacking Jay-Z in an elevator while Beyoncé stood silently nearby. The video ignited a firestorm of speculation. Was Jay-Z unfaithful? Was their marriage collapsing? Beyoncé's silence only deepened the intrigue. Instead of denying or confirming, she channeled the pain into her art. 2 years later, Lemonade dropped, weaving stories of betrayal, anger, forgiveness, and empowerment. The world dissected every lyric, convinced it was a raw confession of marital turmoil. What could have destroyed her career became one of her greatest triumphs. Other storms followed. She faced accusations of borrowing ideas from lesser-known artists, whether choreography, costumes, or music videos. Each time, tabloids accused her of plagiarism, though none of the controversies ever dimmed her star. Her pregnancies also became tabloid fodder. In 2011, rumors swirled that she had faked her baby bump and used a surrogate for her first child, Blue Ivy. Beyoncé never addressed the gossip directly, fueling an endless cycle of speculation. Through it all, the media obsessed over her. Headlines dissected her every move, from her relationship with Jay-Z to her political statements. For many, Beyoncé seemed almost untouchable. Too perfect, too controlled. That very perfection drew both admiration and backlash. Yet what set her apart was her ability to endure. Rather than breaking under the weight of scandal, Beyoncé transformed it into narrative power. Pain became art, and whispers of downfall only elevated her legend. If scandals threatened to break her, Beyoncé chose instead to transform them into fuel. Reinvention became her greatest weapon. In 2016, with the release of Lemonade, she redefined what an album could be. It wasn't just music, it was a cinematic journey, weaving together spoken word, striking visuals, and deeply personal themes. What began as whispers of marital betrayal became a universal story of anger, grief, resilience, and forgiveness. Beyoncé had taken private heartbreak and turned it into a cultural revolution. But she did not stop there. In 2018, she delivered Beychella, a Coachella headlining performance that celebrated Black excellence. From marching bands inspired by historically Black colleges and universities to African dance traditions, Beyoncé reclaimed history and placed it center stage. She proved that pop performance could also be cultural education. Her 2022 album Renaissance marked yet another transformation. This time, Beyoncé celebrated queer culture and the Black ballroom scene, honoring communities often ignored by mainstream music. With infectious house beats and unapologetic confidence, the album was hailed as a joyous love letter to liberation. Beyond music, her reinvention extended into philanthropy and activism. Through the Bay Good Foundation, she supported scholarships, disaster relief, and pandemic aid. She aligned herself with movements like Black Lives Matter, cementing her image not just as an entertainer, but as a leader. Each reinvention carried the same message. Beyoncé would never be defined by scandal or circumstance. She would define herself, and in doing so, she redefined what it meant to be an icon. Today, Beyoncé stands as far more than a performer. She is a cultural phenomenon, a living symbol of artistry, discipline, and empowerment. With 32 Grammy Awards, countless chart-topping hits, and tours that redefine live entertainment, she has already carved her name into history. But her legacy is not measured only in numbers. Beyoncé represents control in an industry that often strips artists of it. She represents resilience in the face of scandal and vision in an era of constant noise. For women, for Black artists, for anyone who has been told they are not enough, Beyoncé's journey is a reminder that greatness is not inherited. It is built. Her influence reaches beyond music into fashion, film, politics, and activism. She has become a voice for empowerment, a champion of culture, and an icon for generations. Beyoncé's story proves that even through scandal and struggle, true greatness is forged by resilience, artistry, and unshakable will. If you enjoyed this story of Beyoncé, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Stars and Scandals, where the untold stories of Hollywood's brightest icons come to life.